Now we will discuss semantic barriers. Semantic barriers to communication are the symbolic obstacles that distort the sent messages in some other way than intended, making the message difficult to understand. When sender sends a message to the recipient, what is required is that once the receiver receives that message, he or she should be able to interpret it the manner or the spirit the sender wants the receiver to interpret. We all know that words carry multiple meanings. Some words can convey different meanings to different people. When such situation arises where the interpretation is wrong or a message is inappropriately or incorrectly interpreted, it causes semantic barrier. The semantic barrier can lead to the deadlock in a communication. It can lead to the breakdown of communication process. So in order to have the correct interpretation of the intended meaning, it is important that we should be aware of the semantic barriers and try to eliminate them so that the messages or the communication is correctly interpreted. The meaning of words, signs, and symbols might be different from person to person. They convey different meaning to different people. The interpretation of a message relies on the context in which that message is produced and received, the cultural context, surroundings, environment. All these things contribute in causing semantic barriers. Some of the semantic barriers which contribute in overall causing huge semantic barriers include homophones, homonyms, homographs. Now these are some of the major reasons that can cause semantic barriers in communication. Starting with the homophones. Now, homophones are the words with the same pronunciation but different meaning, which might have different spelling too. For example, words by, and by. Now, all these three have the same pronunciation, although their spellings are different and their meanings are also different. So, barrier can be caused if the words are used and they are not interpreted or understood in its intentional spirit. Second is homonyms. Homonyms are the words which have the same pronunciation and their spellings are mostly same, but the intended meaning is different. For example, the noun bear and the verb bear has different meaning, but same pronunciation and same spellings. So this is basically an animal, you can say, or this is a verb, to bear in mind or to bear the pain. And this is, of course, this is animal. So the words which have the same pronunciation and same spellings can also cause semantic barrier. The next is the homographs. Homographs are the words that have the same spelling, but the pronunciations and meaning are different. For example, the research led to the discovery of lead. Now this is pronounced as lead and this is lead. They have the same spellings, but they pronounce differently. So this is basically a verb which is intransitively used. It is used to, for example, referring to roads or rivers or so on in order to show some directions. And this is made of metal. This is some device, it's a metal object. So the research led to the discovery of lead. This is basically a verb and this is a noun. And they both have the similar or same meanings, but they are pronounced differently. So when you look at it, and if you are not aware of, or if you do not have the knowledge about these two forms, then danger is that one will have the incorrect interpretation of the meaning. In addition to that, we also have cultural differences. Now there are many words which have fixed meaning in different norms. So confusion arises in communication due to meaning of different signs and symbols in different cultures, causing semantic barrier. For example, this is a symbol. For example, the use of swastika. Swastika. Now, it's a geometrical figure. Now, this figure is considered in Hinduism, it is considered as a sign of spirituality and divinity. But this also shows, or this is a sign or symbol which was used by Hitler. And this sign, when it's seen in the German context, it represents the slaughtering of millions of people. So now the same sign has different interpretation in different cultures and hence can be considered as a semantic barrier if its interpretation is not as per the given situation or as per the given context. To conclude semantic barrier, it can be said many words have different meanings in different situations. So confusion arises in communication due to meaning of different signs and symbols in different cultures, causing semantic barriers.